Welcome to the Carnage Count. We round up the kills in all our favorite scary movies. Today we're looking at Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, released in 1988 and often referred to as Jason vs. Carrie. After VI introduced a few sci-fi elements into the series and turned Jason from a simple-minded would-be drowning victim into an unstoppable zombie, the producers continued down that road for Part 7. Jason now looks more beast than man, all twisted and evil, and the main chick he's up against can use her mind to throw things around and straight up start fires. Also of note is that this is the first film featuring Kane Hodder as Jason. Kane's an amazing stuntman whose name has become synonymous with Jason Voorhees after playing the role in 4 of the films. His physicality and willingness to have the crap beat out of him definitely adds another level to The New Blood. Other than that, though, this movie is your usual Crystal Lake affair. The group of teenage victims is entirely forgettable and stereotypical, and while it has a fair amount of nudity, the MPAA toned down its gore so much that it might be the least bloody film in the series. Plenty of people still die in it, though, so let's get to the kills. The first death comes after a recap narrated by Crazy Ralph and another barebones opening credit sequence, this time with worse music. After witnessing some boilerplate domestic abuse, Tina kills her dad with her mind by collapsing the dock he's standing on, sending him to the bottom of Crystal Lake, infringing on Jason's favorite hang spot, making him the first kill. That lake just isn't big enough for 2 rotting corpses. Tina, you should have been more considerate. 10 years later, Tina is heading back to the scene of the accident with her mother and therapist, Dr. Cruz. He's trying to help her with some mental issues involving telekinesis and, probably because she killed her dad, should have thought that before you killed him. Tina. In the unreasonably close house next door, there's a group of attractive teens just ready to get nice and murdered. The main guy is Nick, a wholesome hot guy, and he's getting eyed by Melissa, a bitchy hot rich chick. But there's also a stoner, a sci-fi geek, representations for both sides of the Madonna whore complex, and a token black couple. They're all there to throw a surprise party for Nick's cousin Michael. Unfortunately for them, Michael's car messes up on the way to the lake, and despite being a wealth of wisdom, he's not long for this world. See, earlier Tina got all emo and went out to the lake to cry. She tried using her ambiguous mental powers to bring her dad back to life, but instead just resurrected Jason. So now Jason's out in the woods and he creeps up on Michael's Lady Jane about 20 minutes into the film. He kills Jane with a tent spike through the back of her head, but all we get to see is a close-up on her face looking like she's falling asleep. Oh, sweet Jane. Michael returns from peeing to find her body nailed to a tree, then runs through the woods in vain until Jason throws the same tent spike into his back like he's playing darts at the bar. Michael tries to crawl away, but Jason stalks after him to get his tent spike back. Never know how windy it'll get when you're camping in the woods. Back at the cabin, Tina learns what stereotype means when she goes next door to meet all the teens. Despite Melissa's upstanding bitchiness, Tina does an alright job fitting in until she starts having mental images of Jason killing Michael in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Jason kills some people in the real world when he comes across 2 campers. Dan, the dude, goes to fetch some firewood and gets a fist through his back and his neck straight up snapped. I love the shot of Jason pulling his fist out of Dan's back, and even better, now Jason has a machete to play around with. Thanks, Dan. Dan's such a good guy. Jason heads back to the tent and rips his way through to grab Dan's girlfriend Judy. He drags her out of the tent, wrapped up snug as a bug in her sleeping bag, then kills her with one gruesome smack against a tree. This is a fan favorite kill that will get echoed in both Jason X and the 2017 Dead Friday the 13th, the game, and Kane Hodder has also said it's his favorite kill, so there you go. Tina gets closer to Nick and more angry at Dr. Cruz, and the teens continue to be teens, with all the drinking and the drugs. They stereotype it up well into the night when Russell and Sandra head out for some skinny dipping. Before anyone can tell Russell how stupid that outfit looks, Jason kills him by golf swinging an axe into his face. It cuts away right as it happens, so we only get some gore when Sandra sees his body from the water. Bummer, that could have been a real nice death. Sandra is understandably freaked out and gets even more scared when Jason seemingly teleports underwater to come up behind her, grabbing her and pulling her down to his hang zone. I mean, once you invite one guy down there, might as well invite everyone, right? Especially naked chicks. Tina's mom finds out the Dr. is recording and exploiting Tina and her powers, while Bad News Cruz finds Michael's body, but then during their confrontation he doesn't even bring that interesting fact up to her. Instead, he drives Tina away when she hears him say he's gonna commit her. Tina goes for a midnight drive, but after seeing some crazy hallucinations of Jason killing her mom, drives off the road and crashes her car. Look pretty serious, but she's not too concussed to get out and run blindly through the woods. Back at Teen City, Maddy tries to do a classic nerdy girl makeover so she can get stoner guy's dick instead of Robin, that whore. But then can't see without her glasses, so she gets lost wandering out into the woods. Jason offers her directions, but she runs away from him and into a nearby barn. He stalks her down, busting through some wood to grab her from behind and swing a hook into her stomach. It's a totally off-screen murder, so there's nothing for me to show right here, except maybe her body that gets shown later with a totally out-of-place throat slit instead of a gut wound. Ben and Kate, the little-seen black couple, are resolving their vague relationship conflict with some make-up sex in a van until Jason shows up and plays contraceptive by crushing Ben's head. 100% success rate, folks. I love the way he grabs his head here, but it is another kill that would have benefited from the original gory idea that, apparently, involved a fake head full of cream cheese. Kate, who definitely should have heard that happening out there, is the next one dead when Jason shoves a party horn in her eye. It makes a fun noise, so that's great, but again, it cuts away immediately. Luckily we see it again later, but it's still a shame how much the MPAA restricted this film. David, the stoner guy, gets hungry after having sex with Robin and heads to the refrigerator, but before he can make that ham sandwich, Jason stabs him in the gut with a butcher knife. Sucks he didn't get to fulfill his munchies, but at least he had high sex, right? There are worse last things to do. Eddie, the sci-fi writer dude, strikes out with Melissa and covers it real smooth, but his dingy tighty-whities can't protect him when Jason sticks him in the neck with his machete. Yet another kill that cuts away instantly. This one really amuses me though, because in slow motion it's clear the actor is raising his head to make his neck a clean target. Just trust Kane, dude, he'll put the machete where it needs to go. Robin, wondering where that ham sandwich is, puts on some clothes and wanders around upstairs before finding David's head, which I guess Jason propped up and put on display for her. Then he busts into the room and chokeslams her out of the window, causing her to slow motion fall to her death. It's not quite as awesome as when he did it at final chapter with that doublemint twin, mostly because there's no exploding car for Robin to land on, but it gets the job done all the same. Throughout all this, Tina and Nick have been on their own little adventure, learning about Jason and being best friends, while Tina's mom and Dr. Cruz are looking for Tina in the woods. Jason finds them because I guess he likes going back and forth a lot, and chases them down. Dr. Cruz gets the first kill assist in the series when he holds Tina's mom still for Jason to stab her through the back with a spear. Real nice guy, just the spitting image of chivalry. Hope you didn't get too much of that woman's blood on your face. Back at the party cabin, Nick finds Eddie's body, dead, and Melissa, alive, after Tina runs back into the woods and finds Dr. Cruz. Holy crap, there's a lot of running in the woods in this one. I can barely keep it straight. She leaves him to go look for her mom, and Jason hunts him down with a weed whacker, with a blade, knocking him down and putting an end to Bad News Cruz once and for all. Fun fact, this is the only time in the series that Jason uses a motorized weapon. For such a big dude, he's got a real small carbon footprint. Tina finds her mom's body in the woods and then a bunch of other bodies in more of the woods, before finally coming face to face with Jason. She uses her psychic powers to square off against him, and it finally makes the movie interesting, since we've never seen Jason against someone who's truly a match for him, and she really is a match for him. That's one of the best things about this installment, is just how much crap they do to Jason. You'll see what I mean in a second. Tina meets back up with Nick and Melissa, and because you just can't keep a good Voorhees down, Jason comes back and kills Melissa with an axe to the head and yeets her body across the room. He throws her like a fucking rag doll, and the stunt person for that just did amazing. The last 10 minutes are mostly Tina beating the crap out of Jason with her mind, and this is what I was talking about before in the ranking of Friday the 13th movie video. Everything's on the table with Kane Hodder behind the mask. Home Alone traps, crushing him with roofs, some pretty sick head oozing, flinging a bunch of nails into his body and face, electrocuting him, telekinetically headbutting him with David's decapitated head, even hanging him from the ceiling and dropping him into a basement. It's fun to watch, mostly because of how gross they've made him. The highlight of it all is when Tina lights Jason on in a 40-second stunt that set a record for longest uncontrolled burn. Kane Hodder kept working through the stunt even when something went wrong with it that resulted in burn scars on his neck and chest. That, my friends, is the Kane Hodder difference. Then her house explodes, as houses are wont to do, and you think it's all good until Jason shows up out of nowhere again, looking even more gnarly and just totally over with getting shot like that. Nick, take a nap in that boat. Jason turns his attention back to Tina, but before he can kill her, she uses her mental powers to summon her dad from his watery grave, to grab Jason in a bear hug and pull him underwater. What? Wait, this guy? Who looks like a pirate movie extra? This might be the stupidest scene in Friday the 13th history, at least until these paramedics fucking carry this stretcher instead of using its wheels. With that rescue and a heartbreaking shot of Jason's mask broken in half, we're done with Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Let's count 16 people die in The New Blood, Tina's dad and Jason's 15 victims, and the gender distribution was split equally with 8 girls and 8 guys. At 85 minutes long, that comes out to a kill about every 5 minutes. LL give the excellent execution to the coolest death. Judy sleeping bag plus tree equals death shtick. Because this is my and Kane Hodder's favorite kill, it's censored by the MPAA. Her original death was that she gets bashed against a tree 6 times and turned into nothing but a bag of blood and mush, but seeing her single smack has to make up for that. Lamest kill has to be Maddy. At least with the other deaths you can go frame by frame and see some sort of contact. Maddy's murder happens entirely off screen, and that's just no fun in a cheap slasher flick. Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood was released in 1988 and began the Kane Hodder era of Friday films. Next up will be one of the weirdest and or worstly worst Friday the 13th THS, Part VII, Jason Takes Manhattan, the film that was finally bad enough to put the series to rest for a short period of time. Can't wait to get to it. Until then, this has been the Carnage Count. I'll see you in Manhattan.